how the room welcomes all. Thanks for stopping by, answering the call. Ups and downs are normal for some of us. Many days I bet to get off this life bus. Neon lights flicker, no shadow on the wall. Dreams on the ceiling, we run and then we fall. Sharing stories over paper cups. Wheels keep turning but never enough. Life's a ride on a rickety old track, holding on tight, never looking back. In the rubber and motor room, we couldn't fight. Loud cry love in this crazy ride.
Well, hello. Welcome back. So, long time no see. So, I decided to throw this together. This is going to be short. It is open panel, so if anybody wants to click the link, come up, I'm fine with that. We all deal with our own trauma in our own ways, and I just kind of wanted to go over this for the mental health knowledge out there. I had a very interesting and fun weekend. Although there was, I will say, there is a couple documentaries out right now. I watched one that was called The Mortician on HBO, and it was just ghastly. And I highly recommend it. But watch it with somebody because it is a rough watch. And then I watched another one called on HBO called The Yogurt Shop Murders. And it's really funny how watching true crime and documentaries can trigger memories. This documentary triggered a memory that I found quite interesting, and I had to share with Hector because, that's me. I share everything with him. But it was about these kids that were in this yogurt shop. And anyways, this big thing, it's a good watch. It's called Yogurt Shop Murders or something like that. It was in I think it was in Austin, Texas. It was in Austin, Texas is where it occurred. And it triggered a memory for me. It triggered a memory like you wouldn't believe. And as I was telling Hector, he just kind of looked at me like I was crazy. I remember I had thought I was about 18. And after I actually figured it all out, I was 20. But there was a place called, it's the best yogurt or something like that. It was a knockoff of TCBY. And it was a knockoff of TCBY. And my mom would go there because it was a place to get sugar-free frozen yogurt. And she had recently been found diabetic. And so anyways, we had recently found out a few years prior that she was diabetic. So during this thing, why I remember it, and I didn't remember it until this show, but as we were leaving to go to this yogurt shop, I remember my dad chewing my mom out and being really mean to her about, you're taking her where the kids get murdered and da 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 da. And I didn't understand it at the time. I was young. I had a small child. But why my dad would say that just totally threw me off. I didn't get it. I was like, why is he saying this kind of stuff? And so I'm telling this Hector, and he's looking at me like I'm nuts. He's, why is your dad like that? I'm like, thinking back, that's how he was. I mean, that's just who he was. And so then I started getting more and more thinking, and I thought, you know what? I just need to bring this out there and just talk about it, because I think that's the best thing for me, for my mental health, is to talk about it. So, and look who graced us with their presence. Looky there. It's Hio. Hey, love. Miss you. Mwah. So anyways, we're going to go to this. Whoops. Wrong button. Of course. Me and my buttons. Right here. We're going to watch this first. So there's just a few videos I put together, and there was some TikTok videos that I found that was quite helpful with knowledge base. So with that, I'm going to hit play, and we're going to watch this.
Brain is beautiful and complex, built to keep you safe and guide you through life. Its main job is to protect you. But when you go through trauma, that protection can go into overdrive. It's like bodyguards constantly hitting the emergency button even when there's no real threat. Trauma shifts your brain into survival mode, reshaping how you think, feel, and act, sometimes long after the event has passed. It doesn't matter what type of trauma you've been through, whether it's physical, emotional, or psychological, stemming from your childhood or adult life. All forms of trauma impact the brain in profound ways. If you're curious about the different types of trauma, check out our previous video where we break them down in more detail. If you've experienced trauma, navigating life afterward can feel overwhelming, and you might even find that you're being a little too hard on yourself. That's why we created this video, to explore how trauma affects your brain. Understanding the neuropsychology of trauma can provide valuable insights to help you and other survivors move forward with compassion and strength. Tuning into senses. Were you startled by a sudden sound, even though it seemed like no one else in the room reacted? According to an article in Current Opinion in Neurobiology, trauma can affect how you process sensory information. You may become extra sensitive to sensory inputs, things like sounds, sights, or touch.
Now, with that, sounds, sight, and touch, I can totally relate. There are certain sounds, there are certain, I used to know a man, and every time he spoke, his voice triggered me. And it wasn't until, gosh, believe it or not, it was about 2019, right before I started getting my own mental health under control, that I realized his voice triggered me because he sounded like my dad. And you don't realize how much of your childhood trauma affects things. So that was a sound sensory that would trigger everything and would set me off into my emotional roller coaster. And so that's just one thing. I just, little things here and there. I don't want to put all my business out there, but yeah, so sounds, just a voice can trigger this.
Specifically, a traumatic experience can change the structure of white matter, a bundle of nerve fibers, and gray matter, a group of nerve cell bodies. These changes happen in your sensory cortex, a part of the brain that is responsible for processing sensory signals from the outside world. This is the brain's way of staying on high alert for any possible danger. For example, a normal sound, like a door creaking or a phone vibrating, might set off a stress response, even if there is no real threat. And over time, constantly being on edge like this can become so exhausting. It can make you feel anxious, uncomfortable, and unsafe in everyday situations. The body's whispers. Traumatic.
The funny thing I can comment on that is when you text somebody, and nobody take this personal, anybody in my text threads or any of my boxes, don't take this personal. This is me. This is my dealing, my mental health. So please, everybody is entitled to their opinions, their feelings, and everything. But with me, I have a problem when I text somebody and I wait for a response. I don't like calling people. I don't like reaching out. I feel like I'm a burden. I feel like I'm bothersome. So I've had to learn and back myself up and say, you know what, they're not mad at you. Just because I didn't respond when you text them doesn't mean they're mad at you. It's okay. They have a life too. They're busy. But before, I would be like, oh my God, they hate me. They're not answering me. Something's wrong. They're mad at me. I did something to upset them. So it's these little responses. And I have learned that a lot of it's from my childhood and early adulthood of things that I didn't deal with. I didn't deal with it. And I'm learning to deal with it now. So with that, I'm going to hit play again.
Events can also impact how you recognize what's happening in your body, like being hungry or thirsty. Normally, your brain helps you pick up on these physical signals and lets you know when it's time to eat, drink, or rest, helping you stay balanced and take care of yourself. This process is called interoception, but trauma can cause the brain to ignore or misread these cues. Interoception educator Kelly Mahler states that trauma survivors may have trouble noticing when they're hungry, exhausted, or stressed. Has this ever happened to you? Not realizing that you're hungry or thirsty until your hands start shaking and your energy gets depleted. Not realizing you have to go to the bathroom until it's almost too late. This confusion about your physical needs can make it even more difficult to stay on top of your self-care, something that's incredibly important for healing from your trauma. Reward tokens. Maybe you've noticed that your hobbies or interests have become unexciting after going through something traumatic. One 2015 study points out that for many survivors, the stress from trauma dulls the brain's response to rewarding experiences. When you're stressed or traumatized, your brain's fear center, the amygdala, becomes overactive, while the part that helps you regulate emotions, the prefrontal cortex, doesn't really work as well as before. This imbalance affects the production of dopamine, the brain's feel-good chemical. As a result, you stop getting the same rewards from the things you used to enjoy. This is called anhedonia, the inability to experience joy and pleasure. As you continue to struggle with anhedonia, everything starts feeling flat or unexciting, leaving you disconnected from those positive feelings. Chasing slumber. Sleep can be a real struggle for people who have experienced trauma. When you sleep, your brain produces electrical signals called brainwaves, some of which are linked to stress and agitation. After trauma, the brain's stress centers, like the amygdala that we mentioned earlier, become more active, triggering higher levels of these stress-related brainwaves.
And let me make a comment here. This is why sleep is so important. When I have lack of sleep, and it happens very often, I find myself, I was going to say putting myself in danger, but that's not the right term. Putting myself in a position of discomfort, irregulation, just mentally all over the place. Many, many squirrel moments. Y'all know me and my squirrels, but those are my worst squirrel moments when I have lack of sleep.
Affects your brain's ability to get the deep, restorative rest it needs. You might find yourself waking up frequently during the night or struggling to fall asleep at all. A study published in the journal Sleep suggests your brain can also have trouble entering the deeper stages of sleep, like REM, which are crucial for emotional healing and balance. And on top of all that, vivid nightmares might make you want to avoid sleep altogether. A study that examined sleep disturbances in people with PTSD also mentions sleep paralysis occurring as a result of trauma. Have you ever experienced one? Share your experiences in the comments if you feel comfortable. Rewiring. The good news is that the brain is capable of healing, especially with the right tools and support. Trauma-informed therapies like EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, and CPT, cognitive processing therapy, are specifically designed to help rewire the brain and support recovery. Alongside these therapies, mindfulness practices and healthy social support play a vital role in healing. If you're looking to take steps,
and I will take a moment to pause there and say that while it may not be everybody's best practice, me having this channel and having my friends, all of you that come and watch and spend time with me, and I appreciate that. The support, it does take a very big role in healing. It heals you emotionally. It's good. It's good. And I enjoy every minute of this. And I want everybody to know that. I want everybody to know I do this and I'm here because I want to be here. I never set out to have a channel and be anybody big or anything like that. It's something that I enjoy doing.
Towards recovery, here are a few practical actions you can try. Establish a routine. Trauma can make everything feel unpredictable. Creating a daily routine can...
I will pause there because I think Hio, if she's still in here, will even testify this. I just told her the other day, it's a routine. That is my life. That is what makes me physically able to get up and live every day, is my routine of life. And if that means I have to set my time for 1 o'clock for me to be here to spend time and enjoy this part of my life. Ava, thank you, love. I'm not looking for accolades or anything like that. You're here. See, Hio's here. She'll tell you. I just told her the other day, routine. That is my thing. I have to have a routine. And that's where I think I have decided with this channel. You know, I've been going live Monday through Thursday at 1 o'clock and Fridays intermittently. But that is part of my routine. And I personally had to establish a routine in my life to make my mental health better. And that includes dealing with my stepson every day, dealing with my mother-in-law with dementia every day, getting Hector off to work. And I enjoy my life. I enjoy my life, but I had to establish a routine. So that's a big part of mental health, is a routine.
bring stability and a sense of control. Journal your emotions. Writing down your thoughts and feelings can help you process your experiences and make sense of difficult emotions. Limit triggers. Identify situations or things that bring up trauma-related stress and take small steps to reduce your exposure to these triggers. Celebrate small wins.
And triggers, let me say this too, triggers can be people in your personal family. I was 48 years old till I realized how gaslit and everything I was being, how I was being treated. Don't wait till you're late in life to wake up and see that you can be a wonderful human. You are a wonderful human. And it just takes a little bit of reaching out. And like she's going to say here, celebrate your small wins. Every little step you make towards a positive goal, you feel it. I feel it. I know I'm making my positive steps in the right direction.
Healing is a journey, so take time to acknowledge and celebrate even the smallest steps forward to stay motivated and connected to your progress. Engage in creative outlets. Art, music, or other creative activities can help you express what words may not be able to capture.
This is my creative outlet. Being here, talking to everybody in the world, whoever may stop by and listen. This is my creative outlet. Doing trials, doing document drops, sentencings is something I enjoy, and I'm finally able to enjoy my life.
Do you relate to any of the signs we've talked about? I sure did. If you do, please remember that what you're experiencing is completely normal. Trauma takes a toll on your brain, and it's not your fault. But just as it got wired to experience these symptoms, it can get rewired again. It is 100% possible for you to one day feel calm, safe, and happy. Thanks so much for watching and for being here. Take care.
This site to go, they have some great videos. So I'm going to share a couple of TikTok videos that I had found that kind of sums things up a little bit better. Well, not better, but in a little shorter term. All these links are in the description box in case you missed them in chat. This is Mind Over Matter 98 on TikTok, and it is 5 signs of childhood trauma.
5 signs of childhood trauma. You might be ignoring some wounds don't show on the skin. They hide in how you think, speak, and connect. Growing up in chaos or neglect can turn survival habits into what feels like your personality. 1. Over-apologizing. You say sorry even when you've done nothing wrong because conflict once meant danger. 2.
Okay, I'll pause on that and I'll make a comment. conflict causes danger. That's the way I was. If I would rather go hide under my bed than to fight, I will apologize. Even if I did nothing wrong, I always apologized just because I needed to make everything okay. And I didn't realize that all my life I've been doing this, and it's a trauma response. It's a way of me um, being okay.
Not accepting compliments. Praise makes you uncomfortable. Deep down, you don't
Absolutely.
believe you deserve it. 3, avoiding asking for help. Relying on yourself feels safer than risking rejection or disappointment. 4, over-explaining. You give too much detail to prevent misunderstanding or criticism. 5,
And my right hand, she'll tell you I over explain a lot. Bless her heart, I love her to death. She gets these paragraph texts where I feel like I'm explaining myself. And I don't realize I'm doing it, but that's me. That's part of who I am. And like I said, when I started watching these this weekend, I started coming across some of these things. I'm like, oh my God, I want to apologize to her. But she knows. I think she knows.
hyper-independence. You pride yourself on needing no one, even when you feel exhausted and alone. And beneath it all, you can feel isolated even in a crowded room, carrying a quiet belief that asking for help makes you a burden. These aren't flaws. They're coping mechanisms your younger self built to survive. But survival mode isn't living. Which of these do you recognize in yourself? Have you ever mistaken a trauma response for a personality trait? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. 5 signs of childhood trauma.
So I dropped theirs in the chat. Oop, wrong button, Sheila. See, look at me pushing buttons. Damn it, pushing buttons. And I dropped the link in there. There is, and it's all also in the description box, the links for all these video creators where you can go and look at more of their videos if you choose to do so. So this is, you needed this one, K-Swan. Yeah, I don't know how people feel about talking mental health, and it helps me, but I don't want to put anybody in a position of discomfort or uncomfortable. And there again, that is me responding my trauma. And as I speak it, it's just like it pops me upside the head. It's like, okay, I'm gonna play this one. This is Lauren to Obey Healing. She has a lot of great videos.
Trauma memory loss isn't random. There's actual science behind why your brain hides pieces of your past. This is part 3 of the series, so if you missed parts 1 and 2, go back and watch them. When you go through overwhelming experiences, your hippocampus, the part of your brain that organizes your memories, can completely shut down under extreme stress. Meanwhile, your amygdala, which is the fear center, goes into major overdrive. So instead of storing memories like a timeline, your brain fragments them or locks them completely away. That's why some survivors have missing years or can only remember certain moments in flashes. Someone in the comment on one of the other videos called
Now, and see, this is what happened to me over the weekend. The video I was talking about, the yogurt shop murders. It was not until I watched that video that it came flooding back, that memory of that occurrence with my mom taking us to the yogurt shop. I mean, it was 1991, 92, I think. So I buried it. I forgot, and it was triggered by watching this documentary. So again, this was why I wanted to be sure to bring up, always protect your mental health when you're watching any documentary, any true crime, whether you're here with me doing trials or on another channel doing speculation or trauma or any of that. Always protect your mental health, and if you have to step away, always do so.
called it Polaroids instead of videos, and I loved that analogy. It wasn't weakness, it was survival. Videos called it Polaroid. Brain fragments them or locks them completely away. That's why some survivors have missing years or can only remember certain moments in flashes. Someone in the comment on one of the other videos called it Polaroids instead of videos, and I loved that analogy. It wasn't weakness, it was survival. And here's the hopeful part. Trauma memory loss isn't always permanent. With the right support, memories can slowly be reintegrated. But recovery has to be done safely because forcing memories too fast can actually re-traumatize your nervous system. Part 4 is going to cover how to start healing and recovering memories without re-traumatizing yourself. So follow.
I will go and we will watch her part 4 because I do find her
You
very
ever looked
interesting.
back and realized that there are entire seasons of your life that you just can't remember? Not just the painful moments, but like the everyday ones that should have mattered. That's what trauma does. In trying to protect you, your brain doesn't just block out the hurt. It can block out literally everything around it too. And sometimes those lost memories aren't only about the trauma. They might hold pieces of joy, connection, or clues that can actually help you heal. That's why part 4 of this series is about how to start recovering memories without re-traumatizing yourself. First, I want you to focus on body clues. Your body remembers way before your mind does. Notice tension or chills or a sudden heaviness in certain situations. That's often the entry point. Then anchor yourself when fragments begin to appear. If an image or a smell or a flashback surfaces, do not chase it. Pause, look around, and name 5 things you see. Touch something solid and tell yourself, this is a memory. I'm safe in this moment. Then allow the piece.
And again, how we always say, go outside, touch grass, watch the clouds roll by. It's something we have to do for our own peace.
To just come slowly. Memories might not return all at once. They often arrive in fragments. Give yourself permission to step away if it's too much. Healing is about pacing yourself, not pushing. Recovering memories isn't about reliving your trauma. It's about reclaiming parts of your story that were locked away. Because sometimes those missing moments aren't just painful. They're the ones that actually remind you who you are. Save this video so you can come back to it and share it with someone who might need to hear this reminder today.
And see, that one choked me right there at the end. This is me. Eat an ice cream. I want some ice cream. Ice cream gives me tummy aches though, because I don't like ice cream, but it does sound good. Now, sorry, throat thing in the eyes. You know how that goes. Y'all know me. Talking about it does help. So I may tear up and I may get choked up, but this is very helpful. Now, this lady is called TikTok Mima. She just has good affirmation videos. So I wanted to put her in this too because I like her. I like how she talks about healing. And I don't know who she is, but I adore her.
So I think that you need to hear this. There comes a point in your life when you look at yourself and you realize you've grown into the kind of person who would have protected you as a child. And maybe you didn't notice it at first. Maybe it shows up in small ways, like the boundaries you set, or the way you speak up when something doesn't feel right, or the fact that you don't abandon yourself anymore, even when the world tries to make you feel like you should. As a kid, you didn't get that kind of protection. You didn't get that voice, that shield, that safety net. You learned what it felt like to be small, unheard, and unprotected. But somewhere along the way, without even realizing it, you started building a version of yourself who would never let that happen again. You became the kind of person who doesn't walk away when things get hard. The kind who notices when someone's hurting, even if they never say a word. The kind who would have looked at the little kid version of you in the eye and said, "You're safe now. I have got you. No one is going to hurt you while I'm here." That's not just healing. That's transformation. That's rewriting the story. That's power. And if you're listening to this right now, wondering if you're enough, just know you already did the hardest thing. You became the person your younger self prayed for. And there's nothing more powerful than that.
Okay. So with that, I'm going to close this stream. And what I would like is for everybody to put in the comments below, if you could talk to your younger self, what would you say? If you could go back and look at yourself in your teens, your early 20s, if you had childhood trauma, if you could go back, what would you tell yourself? I would tell myself, I'm good enough. Just as you all are. And with that, I want everybody to have a beautiful night. And I will see y'all tomorrow because Hector's fixing to call me, so I have to go. So, till tomorrow, peace. Rubber out. Y'all have a great night.